Chapter 7. It was another one of those moments. Jade was certain she'd never become used to it. Time speeding up, and yet slowing at the same time. Exceedingly anachronistic. Jade figured Traveler was strong. He was a guy. Guys are usually stronger than her. But to see the stranger in white snap his steel shackles as if they were only an inconvenience, then tear the iron chains off himself as if they were made of tinfoil, she had not expected that. The entire crowd let loose an audible gasp. Like, what? 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 The palace guards let loose their projectiles, just as Traveler freed himself. His watch emitted the familiar indigo, cerulean, and azure light, with the accompanying crackling electrical charge. It swirled in a circular motion, creating a medium-sized round whirlpool of energy on his forearm. He had turned it into a shield. Jade had no idea he could do that. The arrows vaporized upon contact with the shield. The palace guards, and especially the captain of the guard, were stunned. The crowd roared. Children and women screamed in terror. The stranger in white grinned.
"Huh, my turn."
He raised his hand, fingers spread into the air, and then quickly brought his hand down, curling his fingers into a fist. There was an audible crackle which sounded almost like thunder as the shield of lapis and sapphire energy changed, morphed, covering his entire forearm. His shield had become a gauntlet of pulsating cobalt energy. The small sparks of blue electricity spewed here and there from it, dripping almost with pure power. And he raised it, aiming it directly at the two guards pinning back Jade. Traveler didn't even have to say a word. They released Jade, and she quickly ran to her favorite time traveler, running behind him and putting her hands on his waist. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her chest. She couldn't tell if she was excited, or terrified, or both. Without Jade's knowledge, Traveler instantly took in the entire surroundings, number of enemies, number of civilians, number of escape routes, and did complex calculations in his alien brain regarding casualties and probability statistics. Traveler scowled. Other guards were arriving from outside. Also on their way were lancers, pikemen, mercenaries, minutemen, carrying polearms, archers, and far in the distance, Jade could hear heavily armored, mounted knights. All were approaching very, very quickly.
Okay.
Jade hyperventilated.
What now?
Traveler said nothing. High above, the king was watching. He yelled down at them.
"Dark wizard, throw down your unnatural weapon. There is no escape from the high rim of Camelot."
Traveler didn't reply, simply stared up at the heavens. Indeed, that simple gesture was infectious, and, for the people surrounding, they simply followed suit, all stared up at the heavens as he did. Monkey see, monkey do, even the king. Traveler made a bizarre growling and clicking noise deep in his throat, an inhuman sound. Jade's eyes widened as she wondered what the hell he was doing now. There was a bellowing roar, approaching from the above. Jade remembered that sound from earlier. It was... The stranger in white aimed his fist upward, and a cascade tendril of lapis and teal energy shot out from the gauntlet and was caught in the firm, immense jaw of the enormous golden dragon. Murmurs and squeals and screeching erupted from the townsfolk and guards. Traveler yelled immediately,
"Get a grip, Jade! Hold on for your life!"
She squeezed his waist harder than she had ever hugged anyone before. Violently, the two were yanked high into the air. The king shouted something. Jade's eyes widened as the people, the tower, the town square, and the entire village instantly became smaller. They were hissing sounds in the air, zipping by them. Arrows! Holy shit! They were being shot at, but they were also being rescued. Being rescued by a dragon. Jade couldn't suppress a grin. Awesome! Camelot grew tiny in the distance. This dragon was fast. Her hands were cramped, shaken, and suddenly Jade lost her grip. She felt herself start to fall. She couldn't believe she was going to fall.
"Not so fast!"
Traveler clamped down on her waist. Hard. It was like a steel vise. It was painful, but she was extremely grateful for that pain. Minutes later, they were returned to the crash site. She saw a perch still parked haphazardly, and still emitting a tiny amount of smoke. The huge wings of the dragon beat slowly, and precisely, spitting up earth and dirt as the glorious mythical creature gently placed them on terra firma. Jade could only stand for a second. Her legs were shaking so badly. She collapsed onto her knees, then fell backwards onto her butt. She couldn't catch her breath. Heaving and sweating, she looked up at the traveler.
You're...
She pointed at the arrows sticking out of him. One was embedded in his waist. The other pierced completely through his right bicep. He didn't acknowledge her at all, simply made the strange guttural sound to the dragon. It nodded and pumped its mighty wings, flying off with a roar.
Are you okay, Jade?
Traveler picked her up, analyzing every inch of her with those strange, ancient alien eyes. Jade blinked several times.
You're...
She pointed. Aggravated, the stranger in white yanked the arrows out of himself. He was cursing. Really, really dirty cursing. Good Lord, the words this alien used. What a potty mouth. She heard,
Duck!
A lot. Traveler was definitely hurt. Well, she thought, maybe not hurt, but definitely pissed. Jade stared at his blood, which upon first glance appeared normal. Yet, looking closer, she saw that it was actually orange? Who the hell has orange blood? Oh, right. A goddamn time-traveling alien has orange blood. Duh.
Are you all right? You've been shot, dude.
She pointed. Traveler smiled sarcastically, ruefully.
Yes. Thanks, Jade. I noticed.
She held up her hands and raised her eyebrows, stepping back. He sighed and bent forward, resting his hands on his knees. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Jade waited. Traveler straightened himself and looked over at Purge. He typed something into his watch, which had returned to its normal, watch-like state. A quick scan, and his head lowered. He wasn't happy.
What? What's wrong?
He turned to Jade.
This isn't going to work. She's not healing right. I have to find some Artron energy, and very, very soon.
You mentioned that. What the hell is Artron energy?
Traveler looked up at the sky, shielding his eyes. Again, Jade could see he was calculating something.
It's a byproduct of time travel. Not rare, but rare in this white void. The only place where I'll be able to get it.
He typed into his watch and then peered angrily at the display.
Is from the brain of a Time Lord!
Traveler yelled at his stone pillar.
That's why I didn't want to come here. Purge! I begged you not to make me bring us here.
Fantastic.
Jade placed her hands on her hips.
So, let's go see the Time Lord.
Traveler shook his head.
Not the Time Lord, a Time Lord.
Well, what the hell is a Time Lord?
She knew it came out whinier than she meant, and she pretty much guessed the answer after she asked it. He turned his gaze from Purge back to Jade.
I call them High Lords. The ones who run the time capsules. Their proper title is Time Lords. There's one here, trapped a very long time ago. This is his prison. This is his world. He runs the land of fiction.
Jade rubbed her eyes. Traveler turned from her, made the same bizarre gurgling, growling sound, and she saw the huge golden dragon appear once more. It made an irritated shriek.
Yes, I know. I just sent you away, and now I'm bringing you back. All right? Deal with it.
Traveler yelled at the gigantic beast, which could easily swallow him whole. Dude had some balls. The dragon blinked at him, then lowered its head to let him on board. Traveler jumped on the dragon's neck, holding his hand out for Jade. She took it and climbed aboard.
Jade,
Traveler said as she wrapped her arms tightly around him.
please, meet my friend Cornelius.
Jade opened her mouth, but was stopped, mid-smart acidness, by Traveler holding up a finger.
Don't. He's sensitive about his name, okay? So don't.
She scowled and rolled her eyes.
Let me guess. You speak?
I speak dragon.
The stranger in white grinned like a child, idiotically. It was reassuring, and Jade found herself smiling back at him.
Fine. So what's next?
As Cornelius's powerful wings lifted them from the ground, Traveler answered.
The Time Lord, the prisoner in exile. The answer is in his head. We're going to find him.
Out of curiosity,
Jade asked, watching the landscape below grow smaller.
what does this Time Lord call himself?
Traveler let out a deep breath.
I doubt he remembers his real name. He calls himself the Master.